Yeah. Okay. But you could get away actually by building something and buying land for 50K, it sounds like.
Yeah, very much. You quite definitely could. Yes.
Okay, today we're heading down to Paraguay in
Hello.
in with Simon Cooper, my new friend
Mm-hmm.
who's living outside of Asuncion in a town called Paribabe. Paribabe?
Very big boy, yeah. Very big boy.
It's kind of a
The
it's kind of a
names
mount.
here
Yeah,
the names
Simon,
here
how
are all a
far is that?
mouthful.
How far is that again from Asuncion, the capital?
Where I am, it's approximately 80 kilometers, so about a 2 hour trip.
About a 2 hour drive. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, hey man, thanks for doing the podcast.
Oh,
I really appreciate it.
that's great, Ray. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, man. A Brit finds Paraguay. So tell us a
Indeed.
little bit. Hey, Matt, Simon, tell us a little bit about your story about, where you're from in England and
Yeah.
how you landed in Paraguay.
Right. Well, I've told the story a million times, so I've now got it condensed. Um, I worked straight from school in a high street bank. So I started there in the mid 80s. Fantastic for 10, 12 years. But towards the end of the 90s, the type of job I did, which is all the admin, all the back office, got centralized, got automated. So my job really ceased to exist. And so the initial plan was to take a year out, go traveling, and then just sort of get my head together. But I didn't want to just go traveling and just go from A to B to C to D and never actually see anything beyond the
Yeah.
sites. So a couple of months looking around, I found a tiny little advert in a traveller's magazine. An English woman was setting up a school teaching children English in the Paraguayan countryside, asking for enthusiasm, but no need experience. And I'm
Wow.
enthusiastic, and I've got no experience teaching. So so that was it. So I signed up to that. I spoke to her a couple of times on the phone, flew out to Assumption, sort of hoping it was for real and not just some mad woman sending me on a wild goose chase. So quite pleased and I got to the airport and there was somebody there. And then yeah, I spent year and a half teaching English until that reached its natural conclusion. Went back to England, thought, nah, can't be doing this. Um, I'll give Paraguay a try. So I came back out here and yeah, I lodged with some locals for a little while, then bought a little bit of land, really not far from where I've been teaching. So I knew the local environment. And I've now been here about 20 years.
Wow. So you are totally the perfect representation for this podcast and this
Oh,
channel
fantastic.
because it's called Adventure Freaks, man, and you are an adventurer. I mean,
Oh,
seriously,
yes.
you're definitely an adventurer to take
Mm.
off and go, okay, I don't know much about this lady or anything else, but I'll go try Paraguay and teaching in Paraguay. How long ago
Yeah.
was that?
That was 2002.
2002. Wow.
Yeah.
What an adventure. Okay, so then you
Oh,
went
it was.
back then you went back to England and you said I can't do that and then you said I want to go give Paraguay a try. Okay.
Absolutely.
So what is it about Paraguay that you find special that you said okay, I need to go back to this place?
It's special. It's even now more so then, but even now it's still undiscovered. It's not been changed for tourism. So when there are festivals, when there's events, people are doing it for themselves, for the local population, and it's just nice to be there and see it before in a country where things haven't been changed just to time with tourism. And it's very relaxed here. The people are friendly and welcoming, and it doesn't cost a lot to live here either, which is also
Yeah.
nice. And it's
Yeah.
very safe.
Do you find that because Paraguay is it's a landlocked nation that
Mhm.
it's the one of the last places people look to move to because of that?
I it's one of the last places people look to travel to, but to look to move to, not really, because it is so low key and it's the sort of people who want to get away from a hectic lifestyle. Look at South America and they see, well, Paraguay, it's got no dramatic sights. There's no, it's not a big noisy place, so it does draw people who want a quieter, more relaxed life into nice green countryside. So I wouldn't say it's the end of the list of where people are looking.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's jump into the visa. What can you tell us about visa requirements and what type of visa that you obtained?
Well, coming from the UK, I don't need a visa to come here.
Okay.
It's, but I know for people coming down from the States, there is a visa. I think it's about $100, and you can get it at the airport on the way in. And either if you arrive with needing a visa or not needing, you then get a 3-month tourist stamp, and you're here for 3 months, and it's pretty easy to get that renewed. What you would do is come down on a tourist visa,
Okay.
and apply when you get here for temporary residency.
Oh, okay.
And that if the paperwork is in order, it's very much a case of collecting the right bits of paper. And if everything is in order, that takes about the same time as you get on your tourist stamp anyway.
Do you know if there's any requirements? I know that a lot of countries, they require that you have to show a minimum amount of income that you make per month, or you have to have so much in a bank. Do they require any of that? Do you know?
What is required is when you first start the process, deposit £5,000 as a bond in a Paraguayan bank, but that's very much just to prove that you're serious and you're not just collecting residency certificates from here, there, and everywhere. Then once the process is complete, you can draw that out and you're good to go. If you do invest in a business, if you invest more than $70,000 in a Paraguayan business, then you go through the fast track residency progress, and you can get permanent residency straight away rather than having to go through the temporary, or so I believe.
So you're saying, so if you invest in $70,000, would that be like USD or pounds?
USD.
USD.
Yes.
Okay. So 70K, and then you can get fast tracked.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. For permanent residence. Okay. All right. Great. All right. So flat costs. So everybody wants to know what you can get a flat for. A nice, comfortable, livable flat for somebody who wants to live there or retire there. What are the costs on the low end and the range?
In terms of cost wise, there are two different Paraguays. There's Assumption and its suburbs. And then once you get beyond that, the prices just fall off a cliff.
Okay.
So if you're in Assumption looking for somewhere comfortable, somewhere nice, you might not be that far short of the sort of cost you'd be expecting to pay up in the States. Cheaper, but not a huge amount. However, once you move beyond there, so about where I am, where you can get into the city without any big troubles, but you're in the countryside, you would you can get somewhere decent for $50,000, and if you go up to far as 150,000, you're looking at a mansion.
So you're saying, okay, so you're talking real estate. So you're talking.
Sorry, yeah. Oh, were you thinking more of rental?
Yes, I was going to start out with rental, but we can know that's good. So for 50,000, you can get a nice home for 50,000.
Yeah, it won't be top of the range, but it will be quite adequate for a comfortable, relaxed lifestyle in a decent area.
Yeah. How many bedrooms would that be?
That would be 2 or 3.
2 or 3 bedrooms. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you can live in, like you said, a mansion for 150K.
Oh yeah, I've seen a couple of them, and yeah, they are mansions.
Okay. So then what are flats going for on the low end to medium end in Asuncion and then out where you're at?
In Asuncion flats, you'd probably, well, the very lowest of the low, I think, is about $80,000 for a one bedroom flat in a tower block.
Okay.
And then you'd be looking up towards probably 200,000 in Assumption.
Okay. Wow. Okay. How about the rents?
There are very few flats outside Assumption. There's one block of flats in a nearby town called Calcapay, and that's not far short of Assumption prices. The general thing to do is rent a small townhouse.
Gotcha.
And for that, you'd be spending probably 300 to 600.
Okay.
And once again, if you wanted something bigger with a pool and space, you might push up towards $1,000.
Okay. So 300 to 600, would those be like 2-3 bedroom townhouses?
Yeah, that sort of things. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Do any of those include utilities, or are utilities separate there?
Utilities do tend to be separate.
Okay.
You might get a landlord who will throw it in, but not generally. They generally leave the tenant to pick up the various bills, but they shouldn't be that high anyway.
Yeah. So what do you pay for, like, a, say, I'm guessing you guys probably do propane out there, and then water, electricity.
Yeah. Yeah, propane gas, yes, but I haven't got it because it's such a performance bringing the big jars of gas around. So yeah, it's propane gas. Electricity is now pretty much everywhere. There's very few places that aren't connected. Water, these days, it's generally piped water, but there are still properties with their own wells because there is a big aquifer underneath Paraguay. So pretty much wherever you drill down, you're going to find water sooner or later.
What's the monthly cost for all the utilities if you had to combine them?
If you had to combine them, well, it's hard to combine. Water would probably be $5, maybe $10 a month.
Okay.
And electricity, if you're running air conditioning units, you'd be up somewhere around about 100. If without air conditioning units, you could be down 30 to 50.
Okay. Do most people use air there?
Most people who can afford it have air. Yeah.
Okay.
Most of the people coming in have air, and for the local population, an air conditioning unit sticking out the front of your house is a sign that you're doing well enough to afford it.
Yeah. I mean, is it cool enough where you don't need it there, or does it get pretty hot?
It gets pretty hot.
Yeah.
It passes 40 in the summer.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So, all right, so you're looking at about 100, 110. How about
Yeah.
Wi-Fi? Looks like you have pretty good Wi-Fi out there, and
Yeah. Well,
cell
no,
phone.
this is just mobile internet because I'm 15 kilometers from the town centre, so I've just got a mobile phone and I use that, and then I use that as my Wi-Fi hub. For that, you'd expect your monthly bills somewhere between $20 to $40, depending on the speed you're after and how much usage you're going to
Yeah.
need.
How much do you pay out there in your little town?
I pay my little town. I've got one of the national providers. I pay about $20 a month, and that's more than I need, and it's quite fast enough.
Yeah.
As I say, it's just a mobile signal. There's no cables around anywhere near where I am.
Yeah, and how much you pay for a cell phone per month?
People tend to buy them.
Yeah. The service that you pay for?
Oh, well, they tend to be rolled into one. The way it generally works is very few people here in the local population have got a laptop of their own, so they use the cell phone as the computer.
I see.
And the packs, the programs which you sign up to, they tend to give you audio internet plus free phone calls to anyone on your network and discounted here, there, and the other. So the phones are very much an add-on. People tend to use WhatsApp to do most of their communication.
All right. Well, let's get on to groceries. You gotta eat. So what's the cost of groceries down in Paraguay when you go shopping, and what does it cost per month to fill up the cupboards and refrigerator?
Right. Here I'm going to have to give a bit of an estimate because I do tend to look at things and say, oh, I'm not paying that anymore, and I'll buy something else. So again, mine are fairly sort of mid-range, the cost, my cost, and I probably spend personally probably $60-70 a month.
Wow.
That would be my expense.
Now, Simon, do you live alone? Are you single?
Yeah. I've only got to feed me. Yeah.
Okay, so you pay. Wow, that's really affordable.
Oh,
60.
it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's very
Now,
affordable.
one thing I must say on that is I got annoyed about a year ago. Meat pretty much doubled in price,
Yeah.
so now I only buy the cheapest cheap cuts. So if you're still buying proper cuts of meat when they are fantastic, you're probably gonna be possibly even doubling that because the meat has gone up so much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same here
Oh,
in this US. It's really
yeah,
increased. It's crazy.
yeah, yeah.
All right, so
But
then
even at $150, that's not exactly gonna break the bank.
yeah, sure. Okay, and then I always ask people when they want to move to another country, a lot of people don't want to drive. They'd like to be in
Mhm.
a community where they can walk everywhere.
Yes,
It sounds to me where you live, you definitely need a vehicle.
absolutely. Yeah. If you're in a town, any town, um, what all you need will be walkable distance, and you'll be able to catch buses on a regular basis into Assumption or to nearby towns. That's not a problem. But to live a quiet, green country life, you've got to be outside town like I am. So
Mm-hmm.
some sort of vehicle is necessary.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so do you know what the buses cost, if it like a transportation per month for
Yeah,
people getting around?
yeah. Well, I would a single bus journey out in the countryside is going to average about $1.
And that's from a Suncion?
No, no, that would be around the like from, for example, your local town to the next local town. Into
Okay.
Assumption, I would pay $2,
Wow. Okay.
and then the buses in Assumption, they're about 50 to 70 cents per journey.
Okay. What do you think people budget, or what do you budget per month on transportation?
I don't budget a lot because I've got because I live in the countryside and it's mostly dirt roads. I've
Okay.
got a cheap little motor. I've got a cheap little motorbike because they're pretty indestructible, and if anything does go wrong, you can find a mechanic, which isn't always a story with a top end vehicle,
Yeah.
and they don't use much fuel. So I spend twin probably $2 or $3 a week on petrol.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But
So
that's because I've got a bike rather than a
because you
car.
got the
If you've got a
motorbikes.
big SUV, it's going to be a fair bit more. Because petrol here, it's I probably about $1.20, $1.30 a liter. So it's not overly cheap.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Do they have monthly passes for people that rely on the public transportation there, where you can get a pass, or is it most people
No,
pay per ride?
yeah, the way it works here, outside Assumption, everybody has to pay per ride. There's no
Per
other
ride.
way of doing it. Lots of the buses are owned as a franchise by the bus driver, so he wants to get his payment every time.
Okay. All
It's
right,
different
cool.
in Assumption. The buses there, they all work on prepaid cards. You have to buy a card, charge it up with credit, and then just use that and just keep refilling the credit. But that's only in Assumption.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. And then restaurants. Are there any
Mhm.
restaurants out there where you're at?
There are restaurants, yeah, yeah. Well, Peterbury, it's a touristy town, so it tends to be quiet until summertime. Then you have the hordes coming in. There is a good restaurant called El Viejo Recon, the old corner, that's been there for probably 50 years.
LV Echo?
Recon.
Recon. Okay.
And I think a dish in there, you're probably going to look at about $10 for a good meal in there.
Okay. Wow. So
And
it's not by Paraguayan standards. That doesn't sound very cheap.
it isn't. No. Most people are going to go to a cafe and they'll get meal of the day, and they'll probably spend $4-5 on a good plate of filling food. But it won't exactly be gourmet, but it's quite good enough.
Yeah. Okay. So if you do that, like $4 or $5, go to the neighborhood cafes. How much you think?
Yeah, you'll be welcome.
How much you think you budget a month for restaurants?
Well, because I'm so far out of town, I don't go into restaurants. There aren't that many people that eat in restaurants every day. There's a Swiss restaurant outside town that caters to the German, Austrian expat community. They get everyday customers, but general restaurants, they tend to have people come to treat at the weekend.
Okay. And what do you do for fun out there, for entertainment?
Entertainment. Well, where I am, I go out in my garden and I have a look and see what wildlife has come wandering past. I've got 2.5 hectares of countryside, and I overlook green hills, and there's always some sort of wildlife in the garden to go and see. Or if not, I can go. There are some hills nearby with a natural rock arch and plenty of streams with bathing spots in them.
So what do you typically do? What do you do for fun? You obviously ride motorcycles. Are you a fisherman? Are you a hunter? Or you're into gardening?
No. I do a bit of gardening, but that's more, keeping it under control.
Yeah.
Rather than making it pretty. So what I do for fun is I enjoy the nature. I go out and see local people. Whatever comes along every day. I don't like to have a set routine, because I had that for 16 years in the bank. So it's nice to have a bit more freedom and flexibility.
Yeah. So it doesn't sound like you really spend any money on entertainment. You just you hang out around your property.
Absolutely,
you go visit people.
Yeah. If I wanted to pay for entertainment, I would have to go to Assumption. There's no cinemas, nothing like that out in the countryside.
Yeah. Okay.
And the few clubs there are, they're more aimed towards the local teenagers.
Okay. And what kind of animals are you seeing in your garden?
Oh, all sorts. There's always small birds, but I also get lizards. The occasional snake comes past. Insects of all shapes and sizes.
Okay. Are there any like animals that you have to be careful around, where they're like poisonous or could be
snakes.
Potentially problematic?
Yeah, there are potentially problematic snakes here. And there are poisonous spiders. There are black widows and things like that, but you just avoid them. The snakes, they are overhyped as to how many of them there are. But saying that, a few weeks ago I was traveling down the road and I saw something in the road, stopped to have a look, and it was a pit viper just sunning itself. So there are properly poisonous snakes around.
Yeah. Okay. And so and now you're living in a house. Do you rent that house or did you purchase it?
No. I purchased the land, which was a small sugarcane plantation that was just losing money, and had people build a house on it.
Okay, so you ended up building the house.
Yes. I bought an empty bit of land, had the house built, water and electric connected to it. You can pretty much build whatever you want on your land, and there's no need to have planning permission or inspectors come around afterwards.
How large is the house?
It's about 120 square meters, I think.
Okay, so it's a good size. Is that what, 2-3 bed?
Yeah, 2 beds and various other rooms. Yeah.
Okay, so for viewers that are considering moving to Paraguay and
Yes.
purchasing property and then building a house, how much do you think that they could do that for today?
Well, how much land costs very much depends upon where it is. If it's in a popular area like where I am, it's quite a touristy area. You're high end. If it's somewhere way out in the wild, poor connections, it's they're actually giving it away.
Mm-hmm.
But a good figure to work on for a ballpark figure is about $10,000 per hectare.
Okay. So if you get a
And
couple
that's,
hectares, then you got like 20,000. And
yeah,
then how much would
yeah.
it cost to get to build something comparable to what you have? You know, 2, 3 bedroom, good
Two,
size
three
home.
bedroom, something comfortable, built to a decent quality. You'd probably be looking somewhere in the region of 30,000, maybe 50,000. If it's top quality materials, might top out somewhere near 100,000.
Gotcha. Okay. But you could get away actually by building something and buying land for 50K, it sounds like.
Yeah, very much. You quite definitely could. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's fantastic. And wow, it's really unbelievable. So let me ask you this.
Yes.
Healthcare is always on the mind of people that are moving to a different country. What can you tell us
Yeah.
about healthcare? Do they have a public healthcare system there?
Yes, they do, but it's not the best.
Okay.
It, there's public healthcare that is free to access. They tend to work on a ticket system, so you have to be there first thing in the morning and get a ticket and join the queue.
Okay.
But it's free to access. But then any anything that's prescribed or anything you need, it then has to be paid for there and then, and it can
Okay.
work out quite expensive. The doctors do tend to prescribe the more expensive because obviously that's a little bit more in their pocket.
Yeah.
And but what the expats would do, and what I would certainly do, I wouldn't go to a public hospital unless it's for anything very simple. I would instead go to a private clinic. Every town has one or two private clinics in them.
Okay.
There,
Is
there
there
are
an
a few.
is
Yeah,
there an insurance that you have to pay for to go to a
no,
private clinic?
no. Most of them you just turn up and you just pay for whatever you want. And the only difference between the public and the private is it's better quality and there aren't crowds of people everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few bigger ones where you can sign up to be a member and you're then paying a monthly fee to use it as and when. But there are not, those tend to be an assumption. I think there are a couple of others here and there, but they're uncommon.
Yeah. Do you
So
have
health insurance, you would be better off getting it
yeah.
outside Paraguay and using that.
Is it affordable? I mean, like for example, if you get a stroke in the United States, I mean, you could be in the hospital for a week or two and come out $200,000 in debt. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. It's by Paraguayan standards, a local would not want to do that because that really would blow away all their savings. But realistically, you're probably looking at a few $1,000s rather than a few $100,000.
okay. Okay. So it sounds pretty reasonable, the healthcare as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. It's not always um, the quality you would expect. It helps to look and find out where you are locally, what is the best health clinic nearby, because they're not all of the same standards.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Simon, that I
Mm,
covered everything that we usually talk about. Is there
fantastic.
is there anything else that you can think of that we haven't discussed that the viewers could be
Um,
beneficial for the viewers that you've I don't
well, I will only say, I mean, I would add that Paraguay is a very safe country. In Assumption, there is obviously any area where there are rich people living next to poor people, there is a problem of crime. But
yeah.
once you get outside into the interior, there is very little crime. What there is opportunist, and it tends to be you've done something that caused that to happen to you.
Mhm.
like you waving jewels around or something. So it's a very safe country. The people are very welcoming. They accept you into their communities. And yeah, if anyone's interested, come and have a look.
Yeah. Well, Simon Cooper, thank you
Hmm.
so much for taking the time
No problem at all.
to share all this information. Very helpful. And
Been a
well,
pleasure. Oh,
really appreciate your time.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk soon.
Yes, we'll do it. Right. Thank you.